Hey everybody, today we're going to learn about adding real numbers, specifically when we're dealing with positive and negative numbers. Let's get right into it and start with numbers that have the same sign. So when we're adding numbers that have the same sign, we want to always follow the same three steps. Number one is decide if the answer is positive or negative. That's the first thing we want to know. Number two is we add the absolute values of the numbers. Step three is that we write the answer with the correct sign. So let's see what that looks like. If I have negative 4 plus negative 23, I'm just going to follow these steps. I know if I start with a negative and I add another negative, my answer is going to have to be negative. So I'll just write that down here. We know our answer is going to be negative. I want to add the absolute values of the numbers. So the absolute value of 4 is 4. And I'm going to write the 23 on top, the absolute value of negative 23. I'm going to add these together. If I put 4 with 23, I get 27. And now I'm going to add my sign, and my answer is negative 27. Negative 4 plus negative 23 is negative 27. Let's try another one. Let's say I have 5.17 and I want to add 19.193. Now I see I'm dealing with two positive numbers here, so I know when I add them together, I'm still going to have a positive number. So that's step one. Step two, I'm going to add the absolute values. I got 19.193, and I have 5.17. Anytime I'm adding decimals, I always want to make sure my decimal points are lined up, and all of my place values are lined up. Here, after this 5.17, I'm going to add a 0 in the thousandths place, just to make sure I have everything taken care of, and now I can add straight down. I got 3. 9 plus 7 is 16. We carry the 1. We got 3. Have our decimal. We got 14. Carry the 1. We got 2. And now I said my answer is positive, so I write out my answer with the correct sign. It's positive. Put a box around it. So when the numbers are the same sign, it's pretty straightforward. Figure out the sign. Make sure you just add the absolute values of the numbers and then write the answer with the correct sign. When we have different signs, there's only one major difference. We still make sure we decide first, is the answer going to be positive or negative? And then we actually subtract the absolute values of the numbers. We don't add them, even though this is adding real numbers. If we're dealing with one positive and one negative number, we still have to subtract the absolute values of the numbers to find the answer. And then the third step, we still want to make sure we write the sign with the correct answer. So, what does this look like? Let's say we have negative 19 plus 12. Negative 19 plus 12. Is my answer going to be positive or negative? Now, I can see that because I have more negative than I have positive, my answer is going to be negative. Right? Negative 19 has a larger absolute value than 12, so it's going to be negative. Now the absolute values of the number that I'm going to subtract, I got 19. That's my bigger number, and I'm going to take away 12 from that. And that is going to give us 9 minus 2 is 7, 1 minus 1 is 0. So 7 is our answer there, and I want to make sure I write it with the correct sign, negative 7. Let's see one with decimals. Let's say we have positive 14.32, and we're adding negative 9.761. Okay? So now when I look at my numbers here, I notice I have more positive than negative this time. So I'm going to have a positive answer. And now I can subtract my absolute values. I have 14.32 minus 9.761. Make sure I fill in that empty space with a 0, and I can subtract. So 0 minus 1, I got to make sure I borrow from that 2. So that becomes a 10. That becomes a 1. So 10 minus 1 gives me 9. Now I have 1 minus 6. Can't do that either. So I got to borrow from this 3 to make that a 2. That becomes an 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. I got to borrow again. So 12 minus 7 is also 5. There's our decimal. And, man, more borrowing. 13 minus 9 gives us 4. So 4.559. Make sure I got the right sign. It's a positive answer. 4.559. Positive is our answer. The last thing that we're going to cover today are some properties of addition. You might have learned about these before, but we're just going to do a quick review. The commutative property addition says that the order in which we add numbers does not change the sum. We can do a plus b and get the same answer as if we did b plus a. And you can see the example on the right there. 3 plus negative 2 is 1. Negative 2 plus 3 is also 1. The order doesn't matter. The associative property says that the way you group three numbers in a sum does not change. We can do a plus b first and then add c, or we can do b plus c first and then add a, and we still get the same answer. Nothing changes. And we can see that on the right too. On the left there, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. On the right, we have 2 plus 1 first. Because of the parentheses, that gives us 3. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So the way we group them, the order we do them in, doesn't matter. The identity property says that the sum of a number and 0 is the number you started with, right? A plus 0 equals A. Negative 5 plus 0 equals negative 5. We call 0 the additive identity because anything we add to that, it doesn't change the identity of the number. The inverse property of addition says that when we add a number with its opposite, it will always get 0, right? A plus negative A equals negative A plus A, which equals 0. And we can do that with any number. Negative 17 plus 17 equals 0. 2 1/3 plus negative 2 1/3 will give us 0. So that's it for today. Make sure you get your notes done and you submit them so we can be ready for class tomorrow.